Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 25 career mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. We are coming off of the first 3 races of our career mode, of course, or 4 races of our career mode, I should say. Most recently with Bahrain, which, you know, didn't quite go how we would have liked, but, I mean, it wasn't a bad weekend, but we nonetheless have made even more improvements now, leapfrogging over V-Carb and Alpine as well, coming into this next race of this little Middle Eastern swing as we take on the Jeddah Corniche circuit here from Saudi Arabia. This is an exciting one. One thing that's really been challenging me, or now that I say that, I think 2 things that have been a big challenge for me in this new career mode, this new game is, first of all, tire management has been a completely new animal in F1 25, and then the second thing, battery management. I mean, just the management of your ERS has been such a more heightened task in this game. So that's one thing I was really concerned about for this weekend here in Jeddah. There's, of course, a lot of opportunity to use up your batteries, so definitely need to be on top of that throughout this weekend here. Now, as you can see, my first laps on track. No announcements this weekend, but certainly excited to just get racing. And now, as I've been hearing that Max Verstappen might have an announcement incoming here over the next few rounds of racing. Of course, last episode we heard about Oscar Piastri and McLaren collaborating with Trackhouse Racing over on the NASCAR side for Project 91, and Piastri will be racing at the Chicago Street Circuit a little bit later on in this season. That's going to be really exciting to watch how he does, but nonetheless here, actually in practice, making a mistake and ended up in the outside barrier. That's 2 practice sessions in a row where we have had a self-inflicted error that ended our practice a little bit early. We ended up P14 with the 1 full lap that we did complete. This Connor Sport car has not been easy to manage around these corners so far this season, but obviously as we continue to improve, we're going to get ourselves in a better position, and that's what I'm really just trying to be patient. You know, another thing is patience really seems to be rewarded here in F1 25. You just got to be, you know, willing to just wait for the right opportunities, and you're really going to benefit. So that's something that I kind of feel like plays into my strengths a little bit here now as we come through into our Next Level Racing on board. Use code GOIN25 with my referral link at the Next Level Racing website. You can get Next Level Racing products for 25% off now as we continue into Q1. And a little bit concerning, look at my teammate. You know, Aiden Jackson, lap 1, only manages P19, so you as well can see the engine light on there over on the MFD. So the ICE is a bit worn, but we're just going to kind of manage it and see how this race goes. And if we qualify really bad, then we're just going to replace it. And I mean, so far we have qualified pretty bad. We're only P21. So we go for a second lap late in the session, and I knew I had more time in it. I didn't quite know how much, because I honestly didn't really know how much I had left on the table. But as this lap was progressing, I was finding out that I had left quite a bit on the table. I mean, we've already found about 0.4 of a second of a gain, and then it would increase now to about 0.6, 0.7. Aiden Jackson, he still only goes P19 and would drop to P21 by the time we come out of the final turn. 1.3 seconds gain down the front straightaway, open the rear wing. This might be enough to get through into Q2. We used all of our deploy, but it's still going to just barely be enough. P15, we squeak through into Q2. Meanwhile, our teammate of Aiden Jackson, a disastrous qualifying effort here, as the 2 McLaren's a little bit slow there. You see me highlighting that, but Lando Norris, Aiden Jackson down in 22nd. Really rough qualifying effort for a team that's been making improvements. I was a bit surprised to see our teammate that far down the order. Now for myself, again, I burned through 2 sets of soft compound tires in Q1, so I only had 1 fresh set here in Q2, which kind of puts us into that one and done type scenario. You want to get through Q1 only using 1 set of softs. Just didn't happen. So here we are at the end of our first lap, knowing probably it's going to be a P15, P16 kind of qualifying effort as we open up this rear wing, use the battery and drain it right at the end. Actually go P15, but the question is, would that stick? The answer is, hold on, as Leclerc is in P12, but yes, it does stick. We out-qualify Lance Stroll and end up P15, but again, another Ferrari mess in qualifying for Charles Leclerc, who ends up out in Q2. Russell at the top of the board. We'll see if that sticks into Q3 as we head to the grid in Saudi Arabia.
Good morning, good afternoon, or for us, good evening, as we're under the night lights of Jeddah. The floodlights are on and so is the pressure here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri and Hamilton, Sainz, Antonelli, Albon and Liam Lawson, Fernando Alonso, Leclerc, Jack Doohan and Ocon, Golden Boy, Stroll, Isaac Hadjar and Nico Hülkenberg, Bortoletto, Gasly, Jackson and Ollie Behrman rounds off the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Well, it's been a...
So then, starting on the medium compound, we'll be switching over to the hards a little bit later on in this race, just before the halfway point. One-stop strategy. Two stops have been kind of the way recently, but I think the one stop's going to be optimal here under the lights in Jeddah.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres.
It looks like one stop is kind of the direction everybody's going here. Ollie Behrman took a grid penalty, by the way. Carlos Sainz, the only one off strategy on the soft tires. A very interesting call right there. We'll see how that works. Maybe a two-stop for Sainz.
As the cars come back towards the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can, and they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, failing that, within the points.
So what's the expectation for tyres here tonight?
You shouldn't have to manage too much. It should be better than recent races.
So we're ready to go racing here. Maybe a bit of confidence from Mark saying, you know, it should be a little bit better than recent races. Obviously, the only way to find out is, you know, doing this right here. Pulling up to the grid, taking the lights out, go racing, figure it out here now as we are ready for 25 laps under the lights in Jeddah. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris front row. It's going to be lights out. We're racing here from Saudi Arabia. A good start. We split the middle there between the Alpine and the Haas of Doohan and Ocon. Verstappen's well off into turn one. A slow start from Norris allows Russell through into P2. Three wide sandwich for Yuki Tsunoda at Red Bull. The McLaren's on the left and right now, and Piastri is going to settle in behind, but he'll continue wheel to wheel with Lando Norris, who's going to come out on top of that one. Looks like it'll be Norris now as he head through the S's section. Sure enough, Norris into third. Fourth goes to Tsunoda. Fifth to Oscar Piastri now as George Russell maintains P2. Can he maintain with Max Verstappen over the course of this race? Now that's the big question. Of course, out-qualified by the McLarens, but don't rule him out. We know George Russell has just the straight-up raw pace this year to make things happen now. Your Canadian Grand Prix winner from real life just this past weekend as well, as you see the pair of Williams now in line, actually in between the Ferraris of Hamilton as well as Charles Leclerc. Now, as for myself, we've settled in pretty well here in P15, so we didn't gain, we didn't lose now, as we are just in front of Jack Doohan. We got the pair of Aston Martins of Lance Stroll as well as Fernando Alonso just in front of us. My teammate of Aiden Jackson hasn't really gone very far either, as this could be an interesting night to really gauge where we're at with this car, with this team, but of course we'll only have to wait and see. Now, does these upgrades really, you know, mean much? I mean, in the R&D table, they do. Is actually, look at this, doing a bit of a late lunge up the inside. Couldn't quite tell what he wanted to do until he actually went and did it. But fortunately, we do avoid any collision and stay ahead at the end of lap 1 here. So we settle into P15, and now we're just kind of biding our time. waiting for things to play out here now. Of course, trying to, like I said when I was coming into this episode, really trying to get better at managing the battery of this Connor Sport Butler Global machine. That's been a big challenge for me so far in our rookie season in this F125 career mode. But look at this. Now Stroll going for a move into turn 1 on lap 3 on Fernando Alonso. These two going to scrap it out, but Alonso will stay ahead now as we kind of got a bit of a train forming here in the midfield now, and that's going to make things a lot more difficult. But it also, I mean, it does open the window of opportunity in a sense of strategy. I mean, undercut, overcut, those become very viable options here. So I actually pick up a warning there for exceeding track limits, but I'm sometimes in favor of, you can see this right here, this kind of backing up of cars, because I know I can use some strategy to really benefit. But look at this battle right here. Alonso, Stroll, Ocon, Lawson 2 by 2 as they exit the final turn down the front straightaway, and we're only on lap 3 coming to the start of lap 4, and they, even behind us, are scrapping it out as well. Meanwhile, Verstappen and Russell have driven away, and P1, P2 is right to the back of fellow Canadian. They're still going at it between Ocon and Lawson. These two are really the main culprits that are causing this kind of log jam. They're really fighting each other side by side as we continue on. Look at them, and now they do get things sorted out, but I mean, it seems like to me the Frenchman in the Haas, Esteban Ocon, just doesn't have the speed to drive away from Liam Lawson, and they end up getting in this side-by-side battle, you know, into the final turn, into turn 1, and it's costing us more than a second per lap to the group of cars up ahead of these guys, and that is really frustrating. So I'm already looking at, okay, what do we do? As now Jack Doohan's actually going to catch me off guard here down the front straightaway. Look at the Alpine rookie go through up the inside just about of Lance Stroll into turn 1, and they're still wheel-to-wheel again between Ocon and Lawson. They just can't help themselves here. They're hurting themselves. The way to be quicker is not go side by side, especially here in Jeddah. And I was immediately on lap 7 looking for different strategies because it's just not going to work for us. Now, if we undercut, we're P15, we could maybe be P10, P11 when this all sorts itself out. We're not supposed to pit until lap 11, but I was starting to struggle a little bit as well on top of this kind of backup effect. I was really starting to lose grip, so I said, okay, we're going to throw a huge curveball strategy, as now here comes Isaac Hadjar and Pierre Gasly. Not really going to fight them because I'm pitting right here. I'm going to pit this lap. Lap 7 coming to lap 8. We're going to box about 3 laps early, which is, it's creative. It's definitely a bit risky, but I really believe this could be the way to go. So we're going to come in, and we're going to get these mediums off. We're going to get the hards on. I've drained my battery down to 15% now, so we're going to have to start saving again some battery. But I really like saving my battery when we kind of do like a pit stop and get out on our own, and I know we've got better tires than the cars in front. We can kind of save that battery, and then as you can actually hold on, look at this, Liam Lawson, engine failure, and he's backing up all the cars that we just pitted from behind. That is huge. He just stacked them up. He's done for the night. Race over for the VCARB driver, and they just gave up a heap of time, and now we're really going to be in a good position. I mean, we made a brilliant call there to pit by accident, complete accidental brilliance right there, because now we just gain multiple seconds on these guys. And now what's going to happen is we're already gaining time because of the fresh tires on top of that chunk of time we just gained, and now you're going to start to see some pit stops kick off, but we are going to be in a really good spot now. Here comes Esteban Ocon, who is at the front of that group. He is now exiting his pit stops into turn 1, and we are comfortably in front of the Frenchman. Not enough to where I think he's probably still going to run me down and pass me, but we're going to really benefit here. As you can see, we've just passed Bortoletto. We're up into P16. Albon's there in P15. Of course, he's made a pit stop, I believe. Aiden Jackson, he is not even 10 seconds up the road. He still has to pit, of course. So, really unfortunate race right now for Aiden Jackson. Things are just not working for him. It seems like they've gotten the setup completely wrong or something this weekend. It's just not happening. So, really unfortunate there. But, I mean, the point still stands. We are in a really good position right now, and things are just working out, hoping we can avoid some kind of mechanical failure. But if this race goes green, I mean, we are in the catbird seat, they like to call it, especially in NASCAR. So we'll just kind of let things play out, because right now it's all about setting the best laps I can. But here comes Esteban Ocon. He has reeled me into DRS striking distance, and sure enough, on the run into the final turn, there he goes. See you later, he says. Au revoir, I guess you could say, in French now, as he'll say also merci beaucoup, as we'll now exit the final turn. He's going to just take off in the distance now, as we have still found ourselves P16. But once we see more of these guys pit, I really believe we're going to be now, because of the Liam Lawson situation, I think we're going to be fighting for points here. And look at this. Now, Antonelli's in, Hadjar, all these guys are up to P12. As actually Antonelli's right there. We're going to be wheel to wheel. He's going to get on front. That's, of course, not going to be a fight. He's going to go run down Ocon towards the tail end of the lap and pass him as well, as more pit stops continue to kick off. And Aiden Jackson's now made his pit stop. He's all the way in the last running position. It's just not a good night for Aiden Jackson as we continue to manage now. And there is as well cars that are on a 2-stop. So one that I know is on a 2-stop is that guy right there down the road in front of us, Esteban Ocon. He is on a 2-stop strategy. He has to pit again. Carlos Sainz now makes a pit stop now. So we'll move up into P11 as we continue to close in on points. Esteban Ocon pitted after me, and he's going to make an extra pit stop. Now, we could, of course, very much do a 2-stop, but I am risking it. We're going to try to 1-stop this race and see if we can get a points result, as Verstappen's only got a 1.5 second advantage over George Russell, who's keeping him honest throughout this race. Lando Norris in P3. The pair of Ferraris up there in 4th and 5th have gotten themselves in between the McLarens, as Piastri's down in P6. They really need to upgrade Piastri's rating in this game. Same for Antonelli as well. Just 2 drivers right off the bat that really need to be better. Isaac Hadjar, definitely going to be another one. As you see, Yuki Tsunoda settling in currently in P7. Had that podium, his first podium in Formula 1 there in his home race in Japan. He snuck onto the podium last time in Bahrain late in the race now, as we continue. 4 seconds in front of Jack Doohan. Sainz 3 seconds behind. Doohan, of course, made his pit stop there just a few moments ago. He'll be going to the end of this race, as you see the rest of the running order. Fernando Alonso down in P17. Things haven't quite worked out there for him. Behrman, Hulkenberg, Hadjar, and there's Aiden Jackson at the very back of this grid now. 10 laps to go in this race, and I know for sure we're going to be pitting very soon for the guys in front of me. Of course, I'm not going to be boxing. We are going to try and push these tires all the way to the end, and I was really happy with the fact that I was actually able to maintain DRS on Ocon. This could be race changing when we come to the end of this thing. Here he comes, Ocon, the Frenchman, into the pits now. At the end of lap 16, we will move into the top 10. Albon's pitting as well. We'll pass him into P9 with less than 10 to go. And strategy, some help from Liam Lawson's engine failure has put us in position to maybe score the first ever points for the brand new 11th team, Connor Sport, here in Formula 1 now, as we're nearly 4 seconds behind Antonelli, who has not driven as far away as I actually thought he would have over the course of this run. Now, I mean, he blew our doors off there, of course, when he came out of the pits, and blew by Ocon as well, but hasn't really driven away. But I know for me, in these final 10 laps, probably the final 4 or 5 laps for sure, our rear tires are going to fall off a cliff, and it's going to be about just surviving at that point now. As you can see, Carlos Sainz is P10, 4.2 back. Gasly 6.4. Watch that gap, 4.2 to Sainz. He could run us down before this race is over, but the question is, will he pit again? Will he end up in some kind of battle with somebody? There's obviously some different things that can kind of play out here that are going to hopefully benefit us now as we head down this front stretch, and just waiting for these laps to run out. It's just a waiting game. I mean, I'm in no man's land again. We're 6 seconds behind Antonelli, but Carlos Sainz, he is closing now, 2.5 seconds back. Stroll just below 6 with the final 6 laps of racing underway. Verstappen still has not driven away from George Russell, but he's still just in front enough to where Russell cannot be within the 1 second DRS now, as actually we've got some yellow flags, and it looks like it's a McLaren. It's Lando Norris. Lando Norris, a mechanical failure there for the McLaren driver. That is going to be a free position, and I mean, a really unfortunate day ending here for Lando Norris now, which is just perfect for us. Is actually bang the wall there on the exit of the corner, as now we'll go through into P8 here. Norris over there on the left side of the circuit. Got to be devastated there with that ending. Now here comes Carlos Sainz now within the DRS. He's going to get us, and it's not even going to be close. Now coming to 5 to go. Sainz breezes by on the right side. Says thank you very much. Now Stroll into P10. Can he run us down? We've got coming to 5 to go. We as well have a little bit of DRS help for who knows how long. There's your answer. I mean, we come around to lap 21 and he's already 1.4 seconds up the road. But now you can see Stroll and Gasly, they're within 4/10 of each other. They're within DRS fighting range, which is perfect because now, although we're losing time, they are going to be fighting each other side by side, which is perfect to just keep ourselves in front. Look at this. Now it's completely changed. Gasly's in front of Stroll. Stroll's behind Alonso. So Gasly has gotten from, of course, P11 to P10, and Stroll from 10th to 12th. Just a really rough lap it looked like for him, and they are going to continue to fight. And that's going to be our saving grace right here, because you see our tire icon, the warning light has now come on. We are in danger zone of a tire puncture with 3 laps to go. We have given up 5 seconds to Carlos Sainz, but now the gap to Gasly and Alonso, well, that's about 3 seconds, but like I said, they continue to fight. So as they continue wheel to wheel, it just keeps us alive. It keeps us, of course, with some time to work with, but they are definitely going to get us by the final lap. 2 laps to go, and look at them. They're going at it within the same 1/10 of a second wheel to wheel. They are behind us as I'm just trying to manage this thing to the very end. Same for Max Verstappen, who's trying to hang on to his another, 4th consecutive win it would be. McLaren, I mean, they're running out of options already. They need to step up, and they need to step up now, and it's not going to be tonight. It needs to be next episode going into Miami. You got to go into the United States and say, hey, we got to step up with both drivers, and we really got to focus in. You got a sprint weekend to make things happen. They need to dethrone Verstappen from the top step of the podium right now before it's too late. Now the gap down to 1.3 seconds as we approach the final lap of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The tires over 60% on the right rear. Not really concerned until it gets to 70. The only concern is just the actual pace, as Alonso and Gasly are continuing to fight. It's perfect. It goes from 1.1 to 0.2. Now, maybe even further. No, it goes back to 1.1, using up my battery. 1 to go. They're going to be within DRS on this final lap, but they're still side by side into turn 1. You can see it just on the time. Esteban Ocon, I saw his name for a brief moment as well. So there's 3 cars fighting behind us. And I would have loved to show you guys this, but I forgot to get a replay angle of it, which is why you're not seeing it. But look at the gap. It went up to 1.6 seconds. So that, now 2 seconds. 2.5, nearly 3. That's our saving grace. We should be able to hang on to the first points of our Formula 1 career. We don't know when we're even going to get close to coming by these again. But Max Verstappen around the final turn, down the front straightaway, 1.1 seconds up the road over George Russell. Max Verstappen wins 4 back-to-back Grand Prix here in Jeddah now over George Russell. Leclerc will be P3 over Lewis Hamilton. A great day for Ferrari as Red Bull will get Tsunoda in P5. McLaren's lone point winner, Oscar Piastri, P6. Now, as you can see, Fernando Alonso, he's in the DRS range now, but I'm draining my battery for the final time as we head down into the final turn. 7:10, 6.8. Can we hang on through the final turn? Getting through here smooth. It's crucial. 0.6 of a second. Open up the steering. Hard on the gas. Alonso's here. Does he have anything? To the line. It's a drag race. He stays in line. P9 and our first points as a Formula 1 driver. We got lucky with some help on strategy, and it all comes to fruition. P9 in Jeddah. What a race. Thank you guys so much. Unbelievable. We had some help there, but unbelievable. We'll take it.
And in the end, there was no Verstappen. Max Verstappen, he takes victory.
Max Verstappen on top here again. I mean, he just cannot be stopped right now. And now he's got, of course, 2 different teams, of course, on the podium with him, with Mercedes and Russell and Ferrari and Leclerc as well. But I mean, yeah, what a just race. We didn't have any, pure chaos, but it was a really strategy-driven race, and I mean, it all came down to if Liam Lawson doesn't have the engine failure where he had it on the racetrack. I mean, he had it in probably the most inconvenient location on the entire circuit. If he didn't have that happen right there, you know, we're probably outside of the points today and maybe like a P11, P12. So, I mean, first points, you know, we needed help to get them, but it doesn't matter how you got them. The fact of the matter is we did get them. So, Connor Sport gets their first 2 points of their F1 career. I'm glad I could deliver it. How about Aiden Jackson rebounds to a respectable result? P14 after running, you know, 20th, 21st for the first half of the Grand Prix. That's a pretty solid effort from our teammate there to come back. I'm sure he's a little bit disappointed, however, with me scoring the first points for the team. Verstappen, 43 points ahead. He is running away. McLaren need to step up to the plate now. Norris, with his mechanical failure, certainly didn't help the matters whatsoever for him or McLaren as well in the constructor standings. I mean, we move up to P14 in the drivers, but constructor side of things, of course, Red Bull is taking over there, 53 points ahead of McLaren. Ferrari by over 102 points. That does it for me. I'll see you guys in the next episode, an exciting one on the way in Miami. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.